Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with another team preview today. And what do you say we go ahead and knock out the champs here with, I'll do it one time, the Ohio State University football team. 2025, obviously, we know about 2024. I'll make this a quick one for you guys today. Like I said, I don't want to spend 20 minutes on every single team this offseason. At the minimum, I want to give you 10 minutes, but we'll see if this might be a little shorter. But I just wanted to get this one out for you guys. The national championship obviously took place this past Monday night, and they not only dominated that game, but they dominated in the playoffs. And um, I would consider that a dominant win over Notre Dame and Atlanta, 34-23. But it really, like, Notre Dame scored close to the end to try to come back, and it got out of hand for them, and they couldn't come back. But they got the Buckeyes really did dominate the trenches, and they have a lot of good talent returning next year, but they also have a lot of key players that are expected to go pro, uh, following the national championship on Monday. They beat some good teams in the playoffs, and they've looked phenomenal since the Michigan loss back on November 30th. Tennessee, Oregon, Texas were all victims of the Buckeyes in the playoffs. And not only did they win those games, they won by double digits every single time. So they won, let's see, four playoff games in total if you count the Natty, and they were all by double digits. I've never seen that from a team. Uh, and again, I know that this is only year one of the 12-team playoff, but to have had that for Ohio State is very remarkable, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and throw up this year's schedule. We'll talk about it, but I expect them to have. I don't expect them to necessarily be worse. I don't think that's the right term to use. Let's say take a step back, but it's not like they're gonna be a bad team. They're gonna be a great team next year. I really wanna believe that because I believe now in Ryan Day and Ohio State. They showed this year they could do it. They didn't have like this, you know, I mean, Will Howard was a talented quarterback, yes. It's not like they did this with a Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne and what Clemson had years ago. They did it with their own style, they did it with their own players, and they did it through faith and hard work and discipline that they had on the field. Faith and belief in God, faith and belief in each other. That was very important. Now they're gonna lose those guys, and I'm hoping that what they bring in next year, I think it would be so great if that's still the philosophy, that it's faith-based, belief in yourself, each other, and the Lord. I think that would be amazing to see. This all coming from a big believer myself. They do lose guys like JT Tuimoloau on defense, Jack Sawyer also on defense, Donovan Jackson is a guard. Will Howard not expected to be first round. Emeka Ibuka is. He's a wide receiver. There's there's quite a few guys that they could possibly lose to the draft, and that they have had guys already announced that they're going to the draft. They'll bring they'll bring back some good talent too. I think that they're really returning more than you think. And when you look at this schedule, again, I mentioned we want to make these quick. So I'll go ahead and jump into the 2025 schedule. Lo and behold, you open a home and home series, and the first game is against Texas. Now, it is at home for Ohio State. I'll give them that. Then you got to play Grambling, Ohio. bye week, Washington on the road, Minnesota, Illinois, at Wisconsin, at Illinois, by the way, back-to-back road games, get the bye week, Penn State, at Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and at Michigan. Go ahead and sum up this 2025 schedule. And again, I know it's early and everything, but here's how I really feel about Ohio State. Just being raw and open, hands down, this is it. I think they're gonna have great talent next year. I don't see them being in the situation that Kirby Smart and Georgia were in a couple years ago where they could just walk all over everybody and go back to back. I don't see that. I I also don't see them being like what Michigan did, where they even though Ohio State didn't go undefeated, but they still won the Natty, right? Well, Michigan did go undefeated and won the Natty. The only difference is Michigan cheated, and we know that. I'm not here to rip on Michigan. But then they fell off to 7-5 and lost their coach. I don't think they're gonna lose Ryan Day and go 7-5. They're gonna keep Ryan Day. They're gonna fall off a slight bit next year. They had 2 losses. Honestly, I could see it turning out the same record, just minus a national championship. Because that's just who Ohio State is. That's who they've been, that's who they are. They always have that similar record, whether they have the same talent or not. They could take steps forward at the position of quarterback and wide receiver and stuff, and they probably could next year. Maybe they bring in a transfer, maybe they stick to I don't know. I don't know who's gonna be there. I know who's most likely going pro from this roster, you know, I know all that, but it's it's really not hard to figure out, but it's not so simple either to figure out Ohio State in 2025, I think. Bottom line is this, they're not going back to back. You can book that. They will make the playoffs again. They will be in contention to win the Big Ten, but also to win the Big Ten, you got to get through Penn State. They've shown they can do that. You gotta get past Michigan, and you gotta not drop a road game like Illinois or Wisconsin or a home game. Now, Texas is SEC. That's not gonna impact your Big Ten chances, but you still don't wanna lose that first game of the season being the defending champions. I look at all this, and I say it's a favorable schedule. Trap games, back-to-back road games with Illinois and Wisconsin. Penn State, favorable, but trap. Don't overlook it for the road trip to Purdue. Rutgers, UCLA, not traps, both at home. I know that Rutgers game falls in before Michigan, but again, let's say they're favored against Michigan in Ann Arbor this year in 2025. Is it a trap if they is it a potential upset if Michigan beats them for what, the 5th year in a row? 4th year, whatever it is? Golly. Michigan owns you. My goodness. Anyway, the hardest game on the schedule is right out the gate with Texas. I think that's obvious. Then you get Penn State. I think your top 3 games are going to be Texas, Penn State, and Michigan. From hardest to easiest of those, it's based on how I see this schedule. Even though you pretty much own Penn State right now, that's still always a close and tough game to play in. Yeah. Without trolling and everything aside, like, I think it would be Texas, Penn State, then Michigan, top 3 toughest games from toughest to least toughest. Everyone else on this seems pretty manageable. I circle that Wisconsin game though, being off a road game against Illinois. That even that road game in Illinois could be interesting, but I think Ohio State is pretty manageable with those games. You could lose those. Most likely you won't. Uh this is gonna be a fun season. This really is. And even for Ohio State. Sorry I didn't throw this one up, by the way. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go ahead and predict a 10-2 record. And I'm gonna say at most, like, you gotta lose to Texas, right? You don't have to, as in, like, it's okay to do that. It's not probably not okay if you go and lose to Texas. Texas will be a great team, but come on, it's Texas. Now, Texas is at home, and this is a home and home, and maybe you split it, maybe like Alabama did or something. But right now, I like Texas next year more than I do Ohio State. And even though I could sit here and say, well, they'll finally get over the hump and beat Michigan again and get back to that, they could, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I'm also not gonna be the guy that sits there and says, "This is Ohio State's year. They're gonna do this, this, this," when it just blows up again. So until you beat them, I'm not picking you to beat Michigan again. I gotta see it happen first, Ryan Day. I just have to. Congrats on the national championship. All trash talking aside, again, a 10-2 record from Ballard Sports Media for 2025 Ohio State next season. Love all you guys. Looking forward to it. And again, congrats on the national champions 2024, 2025. Nothing but love and respect for Ohio State. Trash talking aside, it's fun to get on here. It's fun to make fun of them. It's fun to make fun of a lot of different teams in this community. That's just how we roll. So if you're an Ohio State fan, don't take it personal that I put you at 10-2. I think that's doing pretty good respect. I mean, that's that's doable. That's fair. That's what you went last year in the regular season, is it not? You lost to Oregon and you lost to Michigan, and you still won a natty. 12-team playoff again next year. Could they go back to back? It's possible. Don't get mad over a 10-2 record. It'll be all right. You'll be good. You're in good hands with Ryan Day. He'll get you somewhere. Love you guys. Have a blessed one. Jesus loves you. God bless, and we'll see you next time here at Ballard Sports Media. We'll see you.